Hi, this is Karen. I'm with inspiredbygram.com. Welcome to my channel. Today's our simple stamping Sunday card. It is a new technique that I'm going to bring to you, and it's called double time stamping. So we'll be stamping on two whisper white panels at the same time. This is the inside of the card, and I've got a matching envelope. And I believe this flower here is a hydrangea, so I'm going with a blue hydrangea theme. I'm also using Pacific Point, which is a color that I normally do not use, but I thought it might look good with Seaside Spray, which is the color here. And I've got Pear Pizzazz as the leaves. The stamp set is called Beautiful Friendship. It comes from the annual catalog, and it is a photopolymer stamp set. All right, so the card supplies that we need 2 pieces of Whisper White cardstock cut at the same size, so 4 by 5 1/4. Then we'll need another Whisper White panel, which is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then Pacific Point is 3 1/2 by 4 1/2. And our card base here is our standard A2 size, which is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. I've already pre-scored it at 4 1/4. And I also have a Whisper White medium envelope. And I've got a piece of scrap Pacific Point and Whisper White. All right, so let's get started creating that panel. Since we are going to be using photopolymer stamp sets, you need to have one of our piercing mats down, and that'll just help your stamping. So what you're going to want to do is put this down, and then you're going to take your adhesive, and you're just going to add a little tick mark, okay? And then let me just take this. I've got a scrap paper under there, but I really can't see it that well. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this right on top of that 4 by 5 1/4 Whisper White panel and press it down right where that adhesive was. So now we have 2 panels, one on top of the other. And now let me bring in that scrap that I have here. All right, so what you're going to want to do is, let me just show you my ink colors again. I'm using Pear Pizzazz for the leaves, Seaside Spray for the hydrangeas, and Pacific Point for the sentiment. So what I want to do is I want to stamp the hydrangea first. And this is what it looks like here. And it is on a D block. So I'm just going to stamp right in the middle first. I like to go right in the middle. And then ink up again and rotate your stamp so it's not always going in the same direction. And then I'm going to stamp over in this corner and hold it for a little bit, because remember, you're stamping on 2 different panels, and you're going to see that line, and that is just fine. So now what you're going to do is just going to keep going around. If it's easier for you to rotate the paper, then do so, kind of like I am doing. Okay, and then we have one more area here, and just a little bit we need. Okay, so we've got a lot of hydrangeas there. Now what we're going to do is, since I've got the hydrangea, let's stamp the Whisper White, and that's 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm just going to stamp right down in the lower corner and call it good. And then our Whisper White envelope, again, just stamp in the lower corner, and that's good enough. Okay, so now let's go back to this panel we were using. I'm going to take my Pear Pizzazz and that leaf, which is here, it's on an A block. And now I'm just going to stamp randomly some leaves. And I kind of like doing them like 3 together like that. And then just kind of wherever you want to put your leaves. It doesn't have to be, you know, it can be wherever you want to put your leaves, right? All right, so I'm just going to keep going around. Let's put some way over here. Again, we'll go that way. So this is why I like to stamp in odd numbers or add embellishments in odd numbers, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's kind of like some kind of weird pattern, right? So let's put in a few more just to make odd numbers. because odd numbers are a little bit more pleasing to the eye than even numbers. Let's put some over here. And it's okay, see how I stamped on both panels, but that's fine. And I stamped off the edge as well. All right, so let's do one right over there. I'm just gonna take one more look at it, and I think we're gonna call it almost good. Let's go right over here. And we'll go that way. Okay, so now we're done with that. Set that aside. Let's bring in that scrap of Whisper White. And this is where I'm going to use Pacific Point. Again, this is a color I normally don't use, but I wanted to give it a try. And I'm going to stamp Birthdays Are the Best Days right in the middle of that scrap. And I'm going to take my 2-inch circle punch, and we're going to punch this out. And set that aside. And now I'm going to take my 2 1/4 inch punch with that scrap of Pacific Point, and we're going to punch out a layering circle that will go with that sentiment. All right, so now all we need to do is assemble the card. So let me just bring in my Silicone Craft Sheet, and we're going to layer that circle right onto the Pacific Point 2 1/4 inch circle. Okay, looking pretty good. And now we are going to take this stamped panel and very carefully peel it off. Okay, we're going to add adhesive to the back side. This is where you want to keep your panels knowing what direction they're going. And I've got this Pacific Point, and it's 1/4 inch border all the way around. We're going to add dimensionals to the back of this. So I've got a few left on my sheet here. I'm just using the edges. Never throw these away because you can still use them. Give them a good press so I know that they're going to stay stuck. And then we're just going to peel these off. All right, so they're all peeled off. Now let's bring in this piece here. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We're going to flip this over and add it to the card base because it's so much easier to add it now to the card base than if I had all those layers on it. So again, I've got my Pacific Point card base, making sure it's opening the correct way, a 1/4 inch border all the way around. Now we're going to add this on. So what you're going to do is just going to make it the best you can. So I'm seeing that there's a leaf down there and some over here and not so much at the top. So we're just going to layer it right down. Just like that. Now this circle is going to go right here. And you can either add your dimensionals to the back of this circle, or I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal. And then we're going to add it right here. Before I completely press it down, I'm going to make sure it's in the center, which it is. Now you can leave your card just plain like this, but as you can see, I did add some basic pearls on it just to jazz it up a little bit, make it a little bit more elegant. So my basic pearls are right here. And I'm going to take the putty side, and I'm basically going to put probably like 5 or 7 around the card, just to add a little bit of, I guess, prettiness to the card, right? Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3. Let's add one right down here, 4. These are the old pearls that we used to sell. We do still sell the basic pearls. I'm just trying to use some of my old ones up because I want to use them, right? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, odd numbers. So we're going to add one more right over there and call it good. Okay. So now we just need to add the inside panel that we stamped. And then just open that card up. And we've got a 1/4 inch border all the way around. And there is your simple Stamping Sunday card. So here's our card. And here is our matching envelope in Whisper White. And again, here's the one I made earlier for you today. All right, for all your Stampin' Up! Needs, you can visit me at inspiredbygram.com and make sure that you use my host code here for the month of December. It is BZF3QUG2. Thank you so much and be well.